Australian Government Summer School for Teachers of Mathematics was conducted at Armidale in January 2008. 200 mathematics school teachers from around Australia came to hear high-profile presenters give presentations about mathematics and its application in a modern society. Professor John Rice, Dean of Science at the University of Technology, Sydney, provided a presentation on maths for the 21st century. John, I was just wondering if you can tell us what was the main themes of your presentation.
Yes, what I wanted to get across to the people at the conference was just how different mathematics is now and how different it looks and feels in the way that it's practiced in the 21st century. I think that it's very different from the way that it comes out in the classroom. I think it's really the impact of computing and the internet. It means that practitioners do things very, very differently to the way they did before, and the classroom is really still back in the kind of last century's mode. So there's a job to get people aware of what those differences are and confront how to bring them.
So the relevance of the presentation then was very much bringing contemporary mathematics teaching into alignment with what's happening in the way maths is used out in society.
Yes, and I think that one of the reasons why young people aren't interested in mathematics in school is because it doesn't actually speak to them about things that they can see in their careers and work. And yet, if you look at people who are even using spreadsheets to produce reports or to produce predictions or forecasts and so on, all of that's very mathematical. It's numbers, it's patterns, it's data, and so on. They don't regard that as mathematics because it's not what they saw in the classroom at school. And so I was wanting to bring some element of that to the people at the conference so they could see the sorts of things that they might try to bring into the classroom.
So were there some particular issues or messages that you hoped the teachers might go away from the school with?
Well, the broad message was simply what we've just said, but I thought I would actually illustrate it by first of all showing them some new mathematics, or at least an exciting new applications area, because another thing which I think is important to try to bring to people in schools is just where mathematics is going and the new areas that it's opening up. So genomics, analysing genes and gene activity is a very new and exciting area. And we're fortunate that, in fact, it's typical as to how those learning communities and research communities grow. That whole effort is embodied in websites and projects that use these sorts of mathematical tools. And so I thought that as well as being able to show the teachers that there was this exciting new area of application of mathematics, could also show them the tools that were being used and that they were of this computing environment character and what it was like to be actually using them.
Right. So as well as those tools that you were demonstrating, were there other things that teachers might take back into the classroom and be able to implement fairly readily with their students as they return?
Well, no, unfortunately. And one of the things that I regret and think is problematic is the gulf that there is between that sort of environment and the classroom. I think as much as I was able to achieve was to get people to start using this particular software platform in the most superficial way, but nonetheless that's not an easy thing to do in such a short space as this. I think that it was really important that education authorities have more, conferences and meetings like this, but which are focused on the very business of giving teachers some familiarity, some sense of capability and engagement with this sort of way of doing mathematics, so that they can actually confront the challenge of bringing it into the classroom. It's no small feat to do that, I don't think. But if we don't do that, then I think increasingly people will regard mathematics as it's practiced in school as being irrelevant.
Right. Yes, so that's a fairly large challenge, obviously, then, and I guess many teachers have learned their maths quite some time ago in the university, and a program like the summer school is really an upgrade for them in terms of some of that practice and the mathematics that they're using.
Well, I think the summer school is a fantastic idea. And I think there just should be an awful lot more of it. I think it's a real problem that there is no formal part of a teacher's working year that's really devoted to their being up to date with the kind of areas that they teach in.
Yes.
And so this has actually, I think, brought that out. And I think if the federal government is going to make a useful thing out of its commitment to have access to a laptop to every senior secondary student,
Yes.
I mean, there is a real issue of getting people to understand what it is that changes about the practice of mathematics, the practice of science, because you have that ICT environment. I tried to get some of that across in my presentation.
Yes. Yeah. Now the summer school will provide a website which teachers can go back to, and there'll be resources available for them in respect of the presentation that you've done. Are there any other resources that you feel they might access that would be useful for them in this way?
Well, I actually showed as part of the presentation a number of resources. For example, the biocomputing websites and the statistical platform for doing the computations. All of that's accessible by website and as part of a community that maintains it. So there's a lot of information there that teachers can go directly to, although I don't think that that's sufficient. And part of the problem is, I think it's down to people such as me and anybody else that I can encourage into this, to try to design some more resources that will actually make it easier for teachers to engage with those sorts of sites, because they're really for people who are researchers and have a research interest in the area. They're not for secondary teachers. And the questions and the problems that secondary teachers have are quite different to the questions and problems that researchers have. There needs to be a translation, I think.
Fine. Well, thank you very much, John, for this insight to your presentation.
Thank you.